Here on the Main Health Show, we know that hair health is more than skin deep. It's connected to our hormones, immune systems, emotional wellness, and yes, even our genes. That's why I'm so excited to welcome today's guest, a certified genetic counselor who brings clarity to the complex world of DNA, hereditary conditions, and how our genetics impact everything from autoimmune disease to hair loss. Whether you've wondered if alopecia runs in your family, or you're curious about how trauma and genes intersect, this conversation is going to be eye-opening. So get ready. We're about to unpack the science behind what's passed down, what can be changed, and how knowledge truly is power when it comes to your health. Share a little more about our guest and why I am so excited to have her here today. Miavonna Craig was born and raised in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. She has a background in biology and education. She completed her Bachelor of Science in Biology from Oklahoma Baptist University in 2018, and she went on to earn her Master of Science in Genetic Counseling from the University of Oklahoma Health Sciences Center in 2023. During her graduate studies, Miavonna conducted impactful research on genetic counseling roles in reducing preeclampsia mortality in African American women. Miavonna is passionate about advocacy, education, empathy, and reducing the Black maternal and infant mortality rate. With her experience as an elementary teacher in the Oklahoma public school system, Miavonna brings a unique perspective to her work as a genetic counselor. In her current role as a maternal fetal medicine prenatal genetic counselor, try to say that 3 times fast, she is deeply committed to serving others. She Knows DNA is an educational yet entertaining platform that Miavonna launched in January of this year, 2025. Genetics is a hot topic currently, so it'd be only right to learn about it from a genetics expert. She Knows DNA hopes to educate about genetics while connecting with the culture. Ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome my very special guest, Miavonna Craig. Hi, Miavonna.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We got some things in common.
Yes.
We're Okies.
Yes. Oklahoma through and through.
Yes. I like to say that we're Oklahoma girls living in a Texas world.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to use that.
You can borrow
That's
it.
cute.
Awesome. So I wanted to talk to you because you just fascinate me. We go back, I know you some, but also when I found out that you were a genetic counselor and you shared exactly what that meant, I was just so enthralled and interested in wanting to know more about it and to bring it to the audience of Main Health. One of the things I will say, and I want you to talk a little bit more about your thesis and what you studied, because there's a lot of information, a lot of conversations that are being had about the mortality rates, especially when it comes to African American women during their pregnancies and the mortality rate. So I definitely want to talk on that. But I do have a couple of questions because people may want to know, just to get an understanding about genetics.
Yes.
Can you explain the role of a genetic counselor in healthcare and how it contributes to patient education and decision-making in genetic testing?
Yes, so a genetic counselor essentially is someone that is an expert in medical genetics and in psychology. And so what we do is based off of the family history or even some ongoing features that a person may have, we can lead them to specific types of genetic testing that could possibly give them an answer, a genetic answer as to why they're having those symptoms. And as far as how I help with allowing those patients to make decisions and things. It's really, I give them all the information I have. I don't leave anything off the table. I tell them my expert interpretation of some of those testing, and then or even about the features and things that they're having. And then I walk them through like, okay, these are all the options testing wise. There's also another option not to test. I'm here for you. You tell me what you want, and I'll advocate for that for you, and also when talking to some of the other providers. But that is essentially what a genetic counselor is.
So I was going to ask about, what, as a little girl in Oklahoma, kind of got you into studying biology. That's not necessarily one of the main subjects young ladies go for. So just go back a little bit and tell me about your foundation and your love for biology.
Yes. So it's funny. Growing up, I always loved all the medical shows. I mean, things like Grey's Anatomy, they're on like their 50th season or whatever, but I loved that so much. And even my grandma was a nurse. And so just hearing stories about her on the medical side always intrigued me. And it's funny because I remember thinking as a child that my imaginary playful career could be on Broadway, but my realistic job would be a doctor, essentially. So I always did love science, loved math, things of that nature, particularly where I really got to explore more about biology and even genetics was in high school. I had an amazing science teacher. Her name was Miss Bell. Love you, Mama Bell. And she really, just how she taught biology and even how we got to interact with a lot of different materials that people use in the real world whenever they're maybe doing research or even being in the medical field for that. So I've always been a little nerd for sure. And that's really how I found my love for biology. From great teachers.
I love it. And I was going to reinforce that. And I'm glad that you gave your shout out to your biology teacher, because it really impacts those young minds. And great teachers really help to make great people.
Absolutely.
And I know the foundation of your family helped.
Yes.
But it's so good to actually acknowledge the fact that you had a teacher who really inspired you and motivated you, and feels that, I think now that we have more STEM programs that they're encouraging young ladies for, but not that you're that old, but the years past, especially during my time, it was really not a subject that we were being leaned towards. So I'm so happy to know that you had a great teacher and the great works that you're doing. So when you talked about, kind of want to get some information on genetic testing insight. So what are some common misconceptions that people may have about genetic testing, and how do you address those misunderstandings with your clients?
Yes, so there are a number of misinformation out there, mainly because of one, television. They may exaggerate things just for like the storyline, but patients sometimes don't know that that's actually not how things work. And then the introduction of direct-to-consumer testing. So those are things like Ancestry.com, 23andMe, and things of that nature. And so whenever I am seeing a couple or, a child or whoever about genetic testing, the first thing they usually bring up is like, oh yeah, I had 23andMe done and it had this, this, and this. And then I have to be like, okay, let me have a conversation with you, because some of the testing that they do are pretty equivalent to the ones that we use in a medical setting, but a lot of them is not. It's more so entertaining. They're not supposed to take it seriously. It's just some fun things to hear about. And some of them don't know that they need to have it interpreted by someone like me in order to tell them the truth. And so that is definitely one of the main things that I'm going over whenever they talk about those types of testings and then bring it there to me in a medical setting. And I'm like, okay, let's start from the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm glad that you brought that out. I bought a kit.
Yeah.
But I chickened out.
Yeah.
I don't know why. We may need to talk about that. But I love the fact that you do emphasize that some of this stuff is for entertainment purposes, and in order to get more impact from it, go to a professional, someone who can help you to get a more accurate, detailed reading on that. What would be some of the things you talk about couples? What are couples coming to you now? I know in our community, a lot of times I've heard of couples coming to because they maybe wants to start a family, and maybe one or both have maybe a trait of sickle
Mm-hmm.
cell, or maybe there's a history of some type of genetic
Mm-hmm.
something. So what do you mainly see, without giving away any kind of, HIPAA?
Yes, no problem.
Yeah.
Yes. So like you said, since I am a prenatal genetic counselor, I do
Mm-hmm.
see couples. Technically, most of them are already pregnant,
Okay.
but I also see preconception. So maybe those that are
Okay.
wanting to get pregnant, maybe also at an IVF clinic, because one of the things that they have to do is see a genetic counselor before they
Good.
move forward with IVF.
Okay.
But no, yes, one of the main indications that I am seeing right now is advanced maternal age. So that's 35 years or older when your baby's born. They used to call it geriatric pregnancies,
Yes.
and people did not like that term.
Yeah.
So we now say advanced maternal age. And
Okay.
really, if you look at the statistics of when are women having children, the age is getting later and later. It's not. It's no longer like 19 or 20 years old. They are waiting till they are older.
Careers, or
Exactly.
getting married, or
Exactly.
whatever.
And even with that, I know some people may say, like, I remember they said 35 years, meaning that after that I can't get pregnant. That's not the case, honestly. On the genetic side of things, that just means that there's an increased risk for their baby to have an abnormal number of chromosomes, like Down syndrome.
Yes.
And so that is one of the main ones.
Okay.
And I do even see those that are also have a genetic condition like sickle cell, or maybe they're even a carrier for not only that condition, but a number of others. So I also do educate them on not only what that condition is, but how it particularly will help their families.
Okay.
And then the third thing I see is abnormal ultrasound findings for the baby, because sometimes that can be a indication of the baby actually having some type of genetic syndrome.
Okay.
So I also counsel my patients on those indications.
Wow. Yeah. So there is possibly preconception before they get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
There is counseling during the gestational period.
Yes.
And possibly depending on after, if there's any type of genetic condition.
Correct.
Post.
Mm-hmm.
So genetics is something that, we all walk around with genes, right? And so and instead of it being something that's scary and that people don't know about, I think it's good that we have a conversation. Tell me a little bit about, because I got to see a few episodes, and she's going to tell you about her show on social media called She Knows DNA. Kind of tell me about your inspiration for that. I know you're an educator at heart, being a prior elementary school teacher, but kind of tell me about your concept with that and what it is that you're trying to do.
Yes, so I started it actually January of 2025, and how the idea came to mind, honestly, I was just following God. Yeah. Honestly, he told me to do it.
You can't go wrong with that.
Yes. I was like, okay, yes, sir, whatever you want me to do. And plus, I knew that genetics is a hot topic right now, especially with those direct-to-consumer testing like we talked about 23andMe. But the thing is, because I was seeing so much around genetic testing, I also noticed that people didn't know what they were talking about at all. For instance, during the Olympics, there was that boxer that they were like, she was from Algeria, and everyone was like, no, it's a man because this and this, and putting all these labels on her, especially related to genetics. And I'm like, hey, genetics expert here, you all are not, you don't know what you're talking about. And in that case, it could have turned out deadly for her but based off of the laws that she has in her country. So yes, I just saw so many people talking about genetics or genetic conditions, and on the other hand, they're going to Dr. Google, and so now they all have a degree in genetics, but are just loud and wrong. So really what I wanted to do with that is, of course, yes, I know genetics, but also I know my family and just my circle, they don't know the full extent of what that means. And really, that's the same for our community. Even being a Black woman and having a Black family and such, they haven't heard of those things before, because I know I didn't. And so that's where the whole education at heart type thing, and again with like God's word, him telling me to start it. And so I was obedient, and that's exactly what I did. And so now I am definitely educating the masses on some of these genetic conditions while having a little fun twist to it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that because sometimes when a person perceives maybe a subject matter not to be so interesting,
Mm-hmm.
they may tune out. But I
Yes.
love the fact that you do make it so informative,
Mm-hmm.
but you do insert some fun in it.
Yes.
So, yeah, I remember that boxer, and people were like, is it a he? Is it a she?
Yes.
Which is very scary.
Uh-huh.
And then I know that there are people who, just in our community, genetics is something else because you can see people of a certain skin tone. You can see two dark people and they have a baby and it then reached way from back yonder way.
Yes. Yes, that is
and,
true.
and they get us the color of an ancestor, the no eye color, everything,
Yes.
hair texture, and some marriages have been kind of strained behind that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's good that people do know a baseline about genetics. Now, we have a few minutes left, and I do want to talk about this because your thesis was something that has been a very hot topic, and a lot of people have succumbed. They lost their lives due to it. So kind of talk about the issue when it comes to Black women and the high mortality rate of pregnancy, and sometimes their children as well.
Yes. No, how I got passionate about that is because I am a Black woman that wants to have children one day, and it being all over the news, or even just me talking to family members about how hard and scary it is to not only carry a child, but to make it through that delivery.
Yes.
It is extremely shocking. I did know that a large premise of this is because of that mistrust between the Black community and the medical field. There's plenty of things we always bring up, like the Tuskegee, that experiment, or we talk about Henrietta Lacks and how they stole her cervical cells, literally, and now it's making groundbreaking scientific findings now, but yet they were stolen. Right. And so essentially with that, I was like, okay, I know I see this happening in my community about women and babies dying from this, from a genetic standpoint, especially because it's largely Black women in the United States.
Disproportionately so.
Yes, very, and it's really scary, to be honest, to look at the numbers. But what I wanted to do is saying, like, okay, that is already a topic I'm passionate about. How can now I, as a genetic counselor, or even looking at genes and DNA, how can my information contribute to maybe lowering that? And what I found was there are some genes that can contribute to a person having preeclampsia. It's not just one gene or anything, but really it is a collection of genes, along with family history. It's like, if you have one person in the family, like your mom had preeclampsia, then you, the daughter, are more at risk. And so that on the science and inheritance side, that's what I found to be really strong as far as the family history. But also another part of that research was talking to doctors and saying, hey, do you know what preeclampsia is? Do you know which racial group is more at risk of having this? What do you do about it? Do you know about these predispositions? Okay, well, if I told you that there are these predispositions, even though they're not clinically available right now, there's still more research doing it, but
awareness.
Yes, exactly. If we find things, how will that change how you treat these patients? And then also just even with talking to the moms that actually had preeclampsia, one of which she actually lost her baby, and she also almost died. And the majority of it was, though, like, they're not listening to me. I'm saying I'm hurt. They're not listening. I said, okay, I'm calling, my foot's swollen. Oh, it's nothing. It's fine. And now we're all freaking out because someone has passed away. And so that's really what my research was just digging, asking questions on both the patient and the provider side, and then seeing what up-to-date research, especially genetics-wise, is out there that may be super helpful in the future.
Yes, I'm so glad that you shared that because, recently my daughter-in-law gave birth to their second child, a little girl, and at one point she didn't feel like her doctor was listening to her, and we encouraged her to go to another doctor.
Correct.
Because it's just that important. It could be a life and death. Thank God, everything is fine. But she went to a doctor to actually listen.
Yes.
So that is something. Thank you for being an advocate.
Thank you.
And listening to the voice of God
Mm-hmm.
and doing the show, your studies and everything that you're doing to bring more awareness
Yes.
to this.
Yes.
And making it fun for people.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
once we start talking and start getting into everything,
No.
time goes by so quick. Miavonna, if there's someone who wants to learn more about what you do, contact you, especially to learn where to find some episodes of She Knows DNA. Can you kind of
Yes.
give them some information, please?
Yes. So I am literally on all social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And so really, if you just search Miavonna Craig, I know I have a unique name, so I'm not hard to find. Or you can even search She Knows DNA and it should pop up. And so please feel free to look on all of those platforms and tell me what you think.
Yes.
Yeah.
You will definitely, sometimes when you're having fun, you don't realize you're learning, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I was definitely like, I really enjoyed the episodes that I was able to take a note of.
Thank
and
you.
everything. So I just want to thank you for taking the opportunity to join the show and be here today.
Thank you. I'm honored to be asked. So I've had a lot of fun with you. So thank you for having me on.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Anderson, the Alopecia Advocate, speaker, author, and host of the Main Health Show. If you're living with alopecia, struggling with self-image, or simply yearning to feel seen, heard, and whole again, I wrote this book just for you. My newest book, 52-Week Devotionals and Alopecia Affirmations, Cultivate Empowerment and Self-Love Every Day of the Year, is a transformational guide to help you reclaim your confidence, restore your faith, and rediscover your beauty, inside and out. Each day delivers a heartfelt devotional rooted in spiritual truth, paired with a daily affirmation designed to uplift your spirit, challenge negative beliefs, and replace them with radical love for you. This isn't just a book, it's a healing companion, a daily practice, a declaration that you matter. Your reflection matters, your journey matters. So if you're ready to walk in your worth, speak life into your reflection, and start each day with divine confidence, get your copy today. It's time to love who you see in the mirror every single day. You're not alone on this journey, and this book, 52-Week Devotionals and Alopecia Affirmations, is your daily reminder that healing is possible and joy is your birthright. Let's walk in that together. As part of the show's format, we're going to start asking a question of our guests, and me as being the alopecia advocate and trying to bring more awareness to alopecia, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
So take your time and think about it and just answer as you see fit. So as far as personal reflection, what does alopecia awareness mean to you, and how or has it impacted you personally or professionally?
Yes. So the first thing that comes to mind is when it comes to alopecia and genetic counseling, we both are still under awareness rather than appreciation. And that's mainly because with awareness, we are still teaching the masses what this is and the reality of not only the career I have, but also that condition of alopecia. So that is definitely where I feel connected to that. Now, on a personal note, I know the first time that I had saw someone that I knew was alopecia was in college. No hair, no eyebrows and things. And the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, you have cancer. And she was like, oh no, it's okay. I get that a lot. And she taught me and everyone around like what that was. And I was like, okay. But then even my own personal journey, I realized that when it comes to alopecia, it doesn't always necessarily mean no hair whatsoever. It could be patches, and there's also some types of conditions that put you at a higher risk of eventually developing alopecia, which is an autoimmune disease. So for myself, I know when I was in grad school, there was a moment where I was like, my hair is falling out. Like, that's strange. I mean, I know that whenever you wash your hair, you know, hair sheds and all that, but it was to the point where I noticed. And just to find out that it was because of my thyroid, which is one of those factors that can put you at a higher risk of having alopecia. And so once I found out that my thyroid was underperforming, and now I take medication in order to help that, then that's when the hair falling out and the brittle nails and things stopped. And so then to later find out like that can put me at a higher risk of alopecia. It's just very interesting how things all come together. And so that is my personal journey with it. So I definitely do love that you have this platform in order to, like you stated, make people aware of the reality of what alopecia looks like.
And thank you so much for taking out time and being so thoughtful and sharing your professional and your personal experience.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Again, this is the Main Health Show. This is Stephanie Anderson with special guest Miavonna Craig. Until next time, take care and be blessed. Bye-bye.